Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It is already well into January. Some of you may have actually put some New Year's resolutions together. If we ran a little poll right now and said how many of you have already given up on your New Year's resolutions, that might be disappointing to some of us, but thought to just share some ideas on making 2024 an awesome year. You know, there's a lot that's going to be happening in 2024 for all of us. We've got the big national provincial elections that are coming up. That's going to have a major impact on life and potentially the economy and certainly who is leading us at a provincial level and a national level. We've got the Public Procurement Act. That is currently a bill that's sitting before the NCOP. We will have a little discussion on that shortly. That the intention is that that's going to be signed, enacted by this Parliament, and that will give the go-ahead then to start getting the regulations and all the other instruments out there. And don't know when that will be effective. Don't know when that will mean that you will start to have to do procurement in accordance with the new Public Procurement Act. We don't know when that will be, but it might be this year. If it's not this year, it's certainly going to be early next year, but this year is going to be a lot of preparation work then in order to get ready for that. I'm also aware that the preferential procurement regulations of 2022 are still having a very big impact on many organizations. And I think of Sunrail and their about turn on the use of specific goals and going back towards the BBB scorecard and what has that meant to them. And it's going to be very interesting to see what National Treasury, the provincial treasuries, and the Auditor General takes in terms of the audits against your new preferential procurement policies. There's the Zondo Commission. That still is meant to be something that's going to change things. There were the 10 recommendations specifically on procurement that were mentioned. There's the whistleblowers and what happens with all the whistleblower regulations and the movements in that respect. And then many of us are sitting and we've got some personal challenges. We might have some uncertainties at a personal level, at a family level. It's not an easy 2024 if you look ahead as to what it could be. So I wanted to just share with you some thoughts on making 2024 an awesome year. And I don't know if any of you have done any goal setting for 2024. If I could maybe just ask you if you could raise your hand or just to put something in the chat about any goal setting that you've done for 2024. I'd just like to get a sense of who has done some goal setting for 2024. And just quickly raise your hand. Let's have a look and see if there is anyone, or put a comment in the chat. The chat is open. So keen to see if anyone has done anything. It doesn't look like there's a massive amount that's been done yet. So let's have a look. Here is something I've been doing for at least 10 years now. And that's making sure that whenever I think about a year, I think about that year within the context of a 10-year time frame. I don't want to get to the end of the year, have achieved my short-term goals, achieved my goals in that year, but as far as my life is concerned, my profession is concerned, I haven't moved in the direction I want to move in. So one of the points that I have found very useful is to really, and I would encourage you to do this, write down your age and grab a piece of paper now. Write down your age now write down your partner's age and write down, if you've got any children, write down their ages. Write their ages down now in 2024 and look ahead to 2034 and write down what your age will be in 2034. Now, I'm not going to ask anybody to tell us what your age is now and what it will be in 2034. But when I do that, it is quite a revelation to me to think about that age in 10 years' time. Because 10 years is not very long. 10 years is 120 months. At the end of next week, the first month of the 120 months would be gone. So although 10 years might seem a long time, it can fly past in a flash. So do that. Do that for your family. Put down your family now, your family status, your position, what you would describe your family position to be now, what your health is now, how much do you weigh, how fit are you, your spiritual life, describe that now, your professional life, your home, where is your home, how big is your home, your car, and then do the same thing for 2034. What do you want your family position to be, your health position, your spiritual position, your professional, your home? I actually just quickly put that car down there because for some of us, cars are very important, but you don't have to do these things. But before we get into what your goals are for 2024, just put your goals down for the next 10 years. Where do you really want to be in 10 years' time? And write that down, and let's have a look at it. Now, let's because this is a professional network of professionals, let's just talk briefly then about what you might want to write down in terms of professionally. Where are you now and where will you be in 10 years' time? Your education, your training, your reading. How many books did you read in 2024? How many books would you like to read in 2034? Have you written any books? Would you like to write a book in 2034? What is your role currently in your organization? What's your position in your organization? Where are you physically based? And then in 2034, where do you want to be in 2034? Do you still want to be in the same role, the same company, the same organization, the same province, the same country? What is your income now? What will it be in 2034? Income is very important to link your personal goals then to that income. And yes, you might be sitting here thinking, well, gee whiz, there's not much of an influence I have over my income. But if you've taken that position, you're right. But if you decide that you're gonna change that, then you're also right. What about your industry, your community involvement within your profession? In the industry of public procurement, what is your influence? How many mentors do you have? What is your contribution to the profession? Have you been presenting at conferences? Have you put white papers together? Have you done articles for publishing in different media? And where do you want that to be in 10 years' time? So here's just some ideas for you to say, right, before I get to planning this year, let me just do some work on figuring out where do I want to be in 10 years' time. And then you can say, right. And for some of you, you might feel comfortable doing something within a 3-year time frame, and some of you might feel comfortable to do something more in a 5-year time frame. If you want to do that, then bring it forward and say, okay, So that's where I want to be in 10 years' time. Where do I want to be in 3 years' time? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? And I don't suggest you do 3 and 5. You might even want to do it. I've done this often. I write the goals down per year, but at least just do it then within a 3-year or a 5-year time frame. And do something similar then from a professional perspective in that respect. But what then of 2024? So when you've done some of that longer term planning, then think about what you can do then in the next year. When we get together again, when you get together again with your team, with your family, with your mentor, with your coach, where do you want to be? And what I've done here is added on the right-hand side of this a couple of things that you might want to start to think about from a business perspective or a work perspective. What training would you have wanted to attend? Which workshops? What about the position of your policies, of your SOPs? What about your level of influence within the professional community? What about the team that you're working with? What about the training of the team that you're working with? What would those goals be that you want to set down for 2024? And then finally, just a couple of thoughts on some other considerations that you might want to put down for or consider for 2024. The first thing is to really take some time out. Many of us spend more time planning our dinner and what we're going to do on the weekend than we do planning what our personal goals are. So take some time out, plan some time, things might be hectic now, put in leave, take a day off, take some time out, take a weekend off, lock yourself in a room and do this planning. Do the same thing for your team. Take some time out. This is so important. There's so much that's going to be happening to us. If we just let that happen and we don't have our own context and our own goals, we're going to be absolutely consumed by whatever's happening around us. So take some time out to do some planning for yourself. And here's a critical thing that I have found is write down those personal and those professional goals that you've got. Write them down. Make them visible. Put them on charts where you can see them every day, often every day, on a notice board that you have in your office, behind the toilet door at home, every day, so you can see those things, because it's so important that you remind yourself of those goals and do what you can to try and make those goals emotional, emotive, affirming in some way. Because although we're in the procurement world and everything that we do is compliance focused, and this is what the regulation says, this is what the instruction says, what is going to drive us every day is going to be more of an emotional thing. We don't go to work to be a compliant procurement profession. We go there to make a difference to our municipality, make a difference to our province. So do what you can to make those goals emotional and really start to move those from the pen and the paper, from the head to your heart. Do what you can to do that. And then read them and update them daily or at least weekly. Don't write them, file them away and have a look at them again in a year's time. In fact, even if you just do that you'll find that it'll be quite interesting to just do. But if you can at least have them where you could look at them every day, you could update them every day, you can update them possibly weekly, then certainly do that. And then be accountable to somebody on your goals. If you're fortunate enough to have a coach or a mentor, then be accountable to them. Share those goals with them. But maybe it's a family member, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your spouse. Share those goals with them. Maybe it's a leader or an associate that you've got that you work with, or a manager that you might be close to. Just try and be accountable to somebody on what those goals are. And then finally, the last point that I want you to consider is be aware of your environment. You know that the environment that we work in is extremely powerful. Environment will trump many of the other things that we're working on. So be very careful about deliberate about doing some daily deliberate actions to help you with this thing. Yeah, I read 15 minutes every day, and this wasn't easy for me, but I get up early. I often have to get up earlier than what my peers get up. Listen to podcasts. Be deliberate about those podcasts that you're listening to. Be very deliberate about the associations that you keep. If you literally are going to be spending every second day in the pub, then that's where that environment will influence you. Find positive environments, positive associations to link with, and be very, very aware of your environment. And I have a sheet on just staring at it over there that I fill in every day on just basic little deliberate actions that I have. And at the end of the week, I send that to my coach and just say, hey, coach, here are my goals. You and I, these are the goals that we have actually had a discussion on. Thank you for being a person who I can be accountable to in terms of these goals. Here are my daily deliberate actions that will make sure that I will achieve those goals, and every day. And I'm not perfect. And many times I would send those through and there'd be blanks and I would miss things, but that's okay. I'm human, and so are all of us that are here. But just having that accountability and making sure that I manage the environment and the people that I work with is so important in that respect. So there we are, everybody. A couple of points on just for you making 2024 an awesome year.